Hey guys, Mr. Wilson here. Today we're going to talk about lines in the coordinate plane. At the end of this video, you should be able to write equations of lines from a variety of information, and you should be able to graph lines. So this is a little bit of algebra review here, but we need to be able to know the equation of lines in three different forms. The most common of these forms is slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. X and y are our x and y coordinates. Our m is our slope, and our b is the y-intercept. Point slope form, you have y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. Okay. Again, x and y are x and y coordinates. Y1 and x1 are our point that we know, and m is our slope. And then standard form, which is ax plus by equals c, where there's nothing that stands for anything in particular, but standard form is typically used to find x and y intercepts. Okay. Now, these are all the forms that we have, but we'll try to stay in our with slope-intercept form just because that is the most common and most easily used. So, in this next section is asking us to transform each of the following equations into slope-intercept form. So here we start out in standard form because x and y are on the same side. We're going to get y by itself and put it in slope-intercept form. That's the really distinguishing mark of slope-intercept form. So essentially we're solving for y here. So what I'll do is I'll subtract 5x from both sides, and that will leave me with 2y equals negative 5x plus 18. Then to get y all the way by itself, I'm going to divide by 2. And so I'll get y equals, and I'll just separate this as negative 5 over 2x plus 9. Okay? And so that's our first example in slope-intercept form. Second problem, really the same thing, asking us to put in slope-intercept form, so we have to get y by itself, sorry. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides. I'm going to do that up here. So we have negative 3y equals negative x minus 15. And then get y all the way by itself, divide by 3 on both sides to finish that off. So we get y equals negative divided by negative is positive, so I'll say positive 1/3 x plus 5. So now I've changed both of these into slope-intercept form just by solving for y. Alright, hopefully that was just all review from freshman year, or sorry, algebra year, the algebra course. A little bit more here. This next section asks us to write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form that goes through the 2 points. Okay, I use 2 different methods, so watch each one and pick the method that works for you. In both cases, we need to find the slope of a line. You can find the slope of the line by doing y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, change of the y's over the change of the x's. And so for this problem, it would be 10 minus 7 over 2 minus 3, which gives us 3 over negative 1, or negative 3. Okay, so now we know our slope is negative 3. Alright, in this form, I'll use slope-intercept form. Okay, so in slope-intercept form, what we'll do, we will use the slope and one of the points. I'm going to choose 3, 7. Okay, so we use the slope of one of the points, and then what we do is we just plug it into our slope-intercept form and then solve for b, because that'll be the only thing we don't know. So I know that my y coordinate for this point that works is 7. my slope for the entire line is -3, and my x-coordinate for the same point is 3, plus b. Okay, and so now I'll solve for b. So 3 times -3 is -9. And then I'll add 9 to both sides, and I find that b is 16. And so now I can write this slope-intercept form because I know my slope and my y-intercept, and those really are the two variables in my slope-intercept form. So I can say y equals my slope, which is -3, x plus my b, which is 16. Okay, so find the slope, use that in slope-intercept form, solve for b, and then write slope-intercept form. Okay, that's probably, I think, the most common way to do this problem. The other way that you can do this problem is using point-slope form. Okay, point-slope form, pretty much the same thing. We're going to need to find the slope first. So y2 minus y1, 9 minus 6 over x2 minus x1, 2 minus -4, which is going to be plus 4. So 9 minus 6 is 3. 2 plus 4 is 6. 3 over 6 gives us 1/2. So the slope of this line is 1/2. Okay, and so in this first one we use slope-intercept form. In the second one we're going to use point-slope form. And I'm not demanding that you use either form. Either way is fine with me. I'm just showing you both ways. Okay, and so now I'm going to choose a point, and I'm just going to choose -4, 6. And I like that one because both numbers are even, just in case I have to multiply it with the fraction 1/2. Alright, so now I'm going to plug in my information. Again, point-slope form, y minus y1 equals m, parentheses, x minus x1. I'm going to plug in the information that I know. So I don't know y. I'm going to subtract 6 because that's y1 equals m is 1/2. X, I don't know, x1 would be -4, so plus 4. Okay, minus the negative is plus 4. Okay, and so now what I'm going to do with this is, again, I'm going to solve for y. And so I want to get y by itself. In order to do that, I'm going to distribute on the side. So 1/2 x plus 2 equals y minus 6. And then I'll add 6 to both sides. And so I'm going to have to write this up here. Y will equal 1/2 x plus 8. So the two ways that you can make an equation from 2 points is either by finding the slope and then using point-slope form to solve for b, or by finding the slope and then using point-slope. Sorry, I said that wrong. Finding the slope and using slope-intercept form to solve for b and plug it in here, or find the slope and then use point-slope form and solve for y. Okay, either way, those both get into slope-intercept form. Alright. Okay. Horizontal lines. Like this. Okay. They all have a slope of 0. Okay. And they all start with y equals. Okay, so on a graph, just have that horizontal line. Okay, let's say that this point is 0, 4. Okay, the equation of this horizontal line would be y equals 4. Okay, and you can think of that like everywhere. If you continue to make points, you'd have -2, 4, -5, 4, 7, 4, but y would always be 4. Okay, vertical lines have an undefined slope. And I always start with x equals. Okay, their slope will be undefined because it's rise over run, and the run is 0. Anytime 0 is in the denominator, it wouldn't work. And if we look at the point here, maybe we say that's 5, 0. Well, this would be 5, 3. This would be 5, negative 6 or something. Okay, but notice that the x is always the same, not x equals 0. Sorry, x equals. Okay, so horizontal lines are always y equals, vertical lines are always x equals. Alright, so it says write the equation of the horizontal and vertical lines that would go through the point negative 7, 2. So horizontal lines means that the y's are going to stay the same, and so we have y equals 2. The vertical line, the x's would stay the same, and so we'd have x equals negative 7. Okay. On the back side here, we're going to graph a few of these. In slope-intercept form, remember that we are given the y-intercept. That's going to be our starting point. In this case, it's 2. Our slope is 1/3. That's rise over run, so it tells us to go up 1 and in the positive direction 3. Up 1 and in the positive direction 3. Okay, if we were stuck, we could go down into the negative direction because the negative divided by negative is positive. Down and in the negative direction. Okay, and that would be our line. I could draw a straight line. Okay, and there we have it. Okay, you guys can do number 2. Be a sign that you guys watched the video and paid attention to it. Alright, number 3. Still in slope-intercept form, and we can tell because y is by itself. Notice that we're, I guess you could say, missing a number. And the reason we're missing that number is because it's actually plus 0. Okay, we wouldn't really want to write plus 0 because it kind of seems like a waste of time. But plus 0, that tells us that our y-intercept is at 0. And our slope is 3/4, so we go up 1, 2, 3 over 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, down 1, 2, 3, left 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and so then there we'd have it. It's our line, and that's our graph. Okay, number 4, we're given x equals. Remember that x equals is a vertical line. X equals 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 here. X equals 4 here, and 4 here, and 4 here. All the way up and down this line, x would equal 4. And so this vertical line is x equals 4. No real math to that. You just have to hopefully remember that x equals 4, but you can reason through it by just plotting a point wherever x equals 4, and you'll get that vertical line. For number 5, this is why I asked you earlier in these notes to put it in slope-intercept form, because that's what we want to do. Notice that this is in standard form as of now. Standard form, you could find the x and y intercepts. Not really great in this problem, though. So what we're going to do is we're going to solve for y. Before we start, so I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. Get 2y equals negative 3x plus 4. And then divide by 2. So I get y equals negative 3/2 x plus 2. Alright, so now I know my y-intercept is plus 2. My slope is negative 3/2, so I'm going to go down 3 and to the right 2. Okay, remember that if you have a negative, that means you have to go negative for one of the directions and positive for the other. If you go negative both directions, that'll actually make it a positive slope. So I could choose to go up 3 and left 2. Okay, and so my line would go through these points. Okay. Then finally, this is in point slope form. You could try to identify the slope and then try to identify the point, but better for you, I think, just to solve for y and put it in slope-intercept form. And so to do that, we would distribute this negative 2/3 here. And so we'd have y plus 5 equals negative 2/3 x plus 2. Okay, and then we get y all the way by itself by subtracting 5. And so y equals negative 2/3 x minus 3. And so our y-intercept will be at negative 3. And our slope would be at negative 2/3. So I could go down 2 and to the right 3. Or I could go up 2 and to the left 3. Up 2 and to the left 3. Okay, and so then there will be our line. Notice, guys, that positive lines rise to the right, negative lines fall to the right. Okay, if that helps you to double check your work. Alright, so hopefully today was some review from algebra, graphing, linear equations, being able to put in slope-intercept form, reads, standard and point-slope form, and to write an equation given 2 points. See ya.